Hey guys, today we're installing an upTOP Kilo roof rack on the 2024 Plus Tacomas. So I'll be walking you through that whole process, relatively straightforward. You could do it by yourself, an extra person might help a little bit, but just follow this guide and you'll be off to the races. All right, so we have factory threaded inserts here, so they're covered with these 4 plastic covers. So you get a little plastic pry tool or a screwdriver or something, pop that up. They really just pop off with these little clips, so you'll do all 4 of those. Under the plastic covers, there's basically this tape. It's kind of like a PPF film, so you can run your fingers along and feel the indents. That's where the factory threaded inserts are, and you'll just cut out basically a circle. It's not that hard, but I'm trying to not block the camera here. So underneath that, you'll see the factory threads. There are 2 at each foot. Okay, so we'll get a bag with every shipment that comes with all of your parts labeled. These are all of your hardware bags, and then obviously side rails, crossbars, and then 4 feet. We'll talk about the feet real quick. They're numbered 1392, 1394, 1393, 1395. Even numbers are passenger, odd numbers are driver. 2 is in the front, 4 is in the back, 3 is in the front, 5 is in the back. So they are different. Those are kind of the only things. Then worth noting, we do have these little red notes on our bags just to kind of dummy proof everything. Sealant required, so you do want to add your silicone for this hardware, VC3, that's essentially Loctite. So really you should apply these. You could apply them as the first thing on all of these because it is technically supposed to set up a little bit. So 10, 30 minutes, whatever. This rack installs quick. So I would go ahead and VC3 your hardware first before we kind of move on. So then you'll get your silicone and your spacers. All of these spacers are the same, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. Stick it down deep into the hole and squeeze and kind of just spiral it up until you get a little pool on top, and then you'll do that for every hole. If you're confident in your silicone abilities, that's really all you need. Then you'll line the spacers up and they'll kind of rest into the silicone. If you are afraid or you're not confident in your silicone abilities, you could fill this tube up as well, but we're not going to do that because we are all set. Then we get bag K102 with these longer bolts and washers, and again, like I laid out earlier, this front passenger will be 1392. Washer, bolt into the hole, and you'll just kind of get these started with your finger. Make sure you get nice thread action. You don't want to do any cross threading here, so don't bust out the tools until you have them threaded nicely. So these should go right in there. This is a 5mm Allen hex. So we'll get these you really only need to get them finger tight because these will adjust a little bit once we get the side rails on. Next we'll be attaching the side plates with K108 hardware. This uses a 3/16 Allen. These are side specific, so we'll just go ahead and start on the passenger side. You'll line these up to the holes here. And again, we can just kind of hand start these to get them in place. All right, so then you just put the rest of them in. We can go ahead and tighten these all the way because there's no adjustment really on these side ones, but we will still leave the feet kind of hand tight until we get the crossbars in here. If this is your first time installing a rack, you could put a little piece of tape across the top if you're worried about it, but rack's pretty easy to install. You don't really need it. So next step will be installing the windscreen. So hardware bag K106. I put basically all of them on here now, but it's little bolt washer and then this little slide in nut for the extrusion. So I'm going to show you how to install the adaptive kind of windscreen here. We're actually going to be putting a light bar on this, so I'll show both. But basically you're going to want to put them kind of face down in here, line up all of these in the same orientation, and then we'll be sliding this in from the end here. So that's basically it for the wind fairing. You'll just tighten the bolts on the other side. I'm going to pull this back out because, again, with the same windscreen, you can run it with or without a light bar. So if you don't have a light bar, you tighten all those bolts up, and then we would take it and put it on here. But I'm going to take this part out and put a light bar on now. All right, so for our universal light bar bracket, we have bolt, lock washer, regular washer, 2 of these per bracket, and then we will get this started and slide these in. So they'll be pointing to the outside. And then this one will be pointing to the other side. So once these are captured, basically inside of the wind fairing, then we can slide those to the final place later. So we can get this installed, we can tighten these. At this point we could tighten them all the way, but you could kind of hand tighten them and tighten them later as well. Alright, so once you get that together, there are just 2 holes on either side that correlate to the 2 threaded holes in the extrusion. And you just tighten those bolts up, and you can tighten these all the way as well as the fairing bolts. So all of the crossbars are the same, so you could grab any one for this. Then hardware bag K105, which should be your last bag, a bunch of nuts, bolts, and washers. So you can kind of rest the bolt with washer in the roof rack, and then we'll grab the crossbar and our nuts. Easier with 2 people, this one honestly, but if not, you could just put a towel or something to rest the other side while you get this side into place. So you may need to stretch your bars a little bit. Again, these aren't tightened down yet, so we'll find the proper fitment for them. Get that lined up in here, get the nuts on to hold it in place. And then we can do the same on the other side. So this is a 7/16 nut on the bottom, and what do we got? 5/32 Allen on the top. You can start tightening these up. Before you get all the way tight, we're gonna wanna gap this out to where this whole section is a little bit out. All of these crossbars have a little bit of adjustability built into them. Matching on both sides, and then we can just tighten it up all the way. Once the rear crossbar and the front fairing are tightened down, then you can kind of adjust it. It's surprisingly, every truck's like a little bit different, truck to truck, and where the threaded inserts are a little bit. So just kind of line it up with the channels, and once it's good, then we can come back and tighten the bolts that are actually going into the threaded inserts on the truck now. So then we'll have 5 crossbars here total. They can really be spaced however you want them for your application. They are all identical, so install them, you know, however you'd like, just evenly spaced side to side. And you don't technically need to run them all. If you only want to run 4 instead of 5, that'll work as well. All right, and that concludes the installation of the Kilo roof rack on the 2024 Plus Toyota Tacoma. And I think that's it. Relatively straightforward. Again, a little adjustability and modularity built into the systems with or without a light bar. We are going to be adding a light bar to this, so we'll do that after the video. But I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at support@uptopoverland.com or call us on whatever our phone number is down below.